Okay, hi everyone. Welcome back for the next science lesson. Hopefully you were able to play a little bit with the model. So what I'd like you to do is I'm going to give you a little more time to follow these instructions now that you feel like you've gotten a little bit of time to observe and play with it. So would you please turn to page 22 in your investigation notebook? Let me find it myself. Okay. This is page 22 of your investigation notebook. So let's try it again. So if you're looking for your sim, I want you to take a look at the link or follow my special instructions for how to get into the sim. At this point, I'm not at school, so I'm not exactly positive, but I'll be in school tomorrow, so I'll be able to really find out how you're supposed to get into the sim. But follow those directions because I would have added them to where you get your information from, like Schoology. Okay, so use the sim to investigate condensation, then answer the questions below. Number one, choose any landscape. 2, in run, check that the wind is off and the water molecules toggle is on. Observe the moment of the water molecules. Press analyze, then replay to make further observations. Select a water molecule that has formed part of a raindrop. Observe the path of the molecule as you use the slider to scroll back and forth in time. Pay close attention to what happens as the molecules condense to form raindrops. Find a place where a lot of liquid is forming in the atmosphere. Use the atmosphere window to zoom in on the molecules and see what happens with the water vapor. Now, I'd like you to answer these questions after you've done that sim. Describe the water molecules in the vapor before they condense into liquid water. What happens at the nanoscale when water vapor condenses into liquid water? And does all the liquid water in the atmosphere fall as rain? Why or why not? So what I'd like you to do is press pause on this video, go ahead and take an additional 10 minutes and play with that sim, and then answer the questions. I will pause my video too. See you back here in about 10 minutes. Okay, so let's answer the questions together. The first question was, what are the molecules like before they condense? They are spread apart as water vapor. Remember, they come close together when they condense, but when they're water vapor, they're farther apart. When they're liquid water, they come close together, water vapor spread apart. What happens at the nanoscale when water condenses into liquid water? Oh, go ahead and write that answer to the first one. But if you already wrote something about they're spread apart as water vapor, very good. Okay, the next one. Water molecules in the air come together into clusters to form raindrops. So they actually come together. I'll give you a moment to write down that answer, but perhaps your answer has something like that. Okay, last one. Does all of the liquid water in the atmosphere fall as rain? Why or why not? When water vapor condenses into liquid water, the behavior and arrangement of the molecules change, but all the molecules are still there. So not all of the molecules turn and fall as rain. They're there as water vapor as well. Okay, I'll give you a minute to write that. Okay, so now let's continue on with our lesson. Key concept. So we know now that water molecules are farther apart in water vapor and then close together in liquid water. And it says, when does liquid water in the atmosphere fall as rain? So think about that question a little bit, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. When the water vapor condenses into liquid water, it does not fall right away as rain. So there are a few ways that they have to make the raindrops, and we will be figuring that out shortly. Okay, so here we see let me show you what happens. So when the water vapor condenses into liquid water, it does not fall as rain right away. So do you see how the water vapor is coming up into clouds? So you make the clouds first. So here's the water vapor in red. And then it starts to condense and form, and the clouds form as well. So the condensation has something to do with it. So what do you notice about when the raindrops form? You might notice that a cloud starts to develop, right? That it's higher in the air where the air is cooler as well. Okay, so now we are going to reflect a little bit on raindrops. And we're going to use the digital model to show our thinking about what happens when water molecules condense to form raindrops. Oh, there it is. Let me make sure you can hear my sound. Let me share my sound with you. Okay, here it is.
This is the condensation modeling tool. We'll use it to make a model to show our ideas about what happens at the nanoscale during condensation. Read the instructions by clicking the button in the top left before you get started. You can view them at any time if you need a reminder. This model shows the atmosphere before condensation, and this model shows after condensation. Here are the zoom-ins. They show what is happening at the nanoscale. Drag and drop the labels and water molecules from the toolbar on the right to make your model. Click on the blank thermometer to choose between very cold and warm. If you change your mind or make a mistake and want to start over, use the Reset, Undo, or Redo buttons.
Okay, so you're going to be using the condensation modeling tool. So now, once again, I have to check and make sure that these are the correct ways that you're going to be accessing the sim. They say under bookmarks, I have a pretty good idea that we'll probably be going through Clever, but I will give you more specific directions after tomorrow when I come to school. So you are going to be working with a condensation modeling tool. And here are some discussion questions that I want you to think about to help you complete your model. What does water vapor look like at a nanoscale? What does liquid water look like at the nanoscale? And what happens to water molecules when condensation happens? Now, you're not going to know the answers to it right now, right? Because you haven't messed with the condensation tool. You haven't practiced or anything. So I want you to think about this as you work on your condensation models. So you are going to be thinking about these questions. So I'm going to pause this and give you about 15 minutes of time to play with the models, and then you can press pause on the video and then come back after 15 minutes after you've had a chance to investigate with the condensation model. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, so let's continue on talking about the condensation model questions. So first of all, the idea is, what does water vapor look like at the nanoscale? So hopefully you're able to tell that water vapor at the nanoscale is more spread out than liquid water. Number two, what does liquid water look like at a nanoscale? And hopefully you saw that it was clustered together. And what happens to water molecules when condensation happens? And we're going to continue to investigate it as we are able to. So let's continue on. And it says, make a model to show nanoscale view of water and liquids. So you already did that. So our key concepts is that raindrops can form when enough water vapor gets cold and condenses into liquid water. So based on what we discovered over the last few lessons, how do the hydrosphere and the atmosphere interact? Hydrosphere meaning the water, atmosphere meaning the air. Think about that for just a moment. So remember that the hydrosphere is all the liquid water and ice on Earth, and the atmosphere is all the air that surrounds Earth. So water vapor is in the atmosphere condenses into liquid water, and the atmosphere is where the raindrops form, which fall to the surface of Earth and become part of the hydrosphere. So this is actually like a water cycle. And that is the most important thing that you learn in this lesson. So we kind of went through the water cycle with the hydrosphere and the atmosphere. So with the last about 15 minutes of the lesson that you have, you can go back and answer any of the questions or take notes on anything that you missed. You can work with the sim to create more raindrops, or you could also do some science IXLs. All right, great work today, and I'll actually see you on Monday. Yeah, I can't wait. All right, bye for now.